Today's goal is to set up my mineral tubs and to start planting in them. Hello everybody, this is Deb from Just Do Something Homestead, and today we're going to start planting potatoes in mineral tubs. Just last week we started setting up our greenhouse. I started layering the soil in one of our big 9.5-foot beds. Unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of soil on hand, and so we had found a distributor that we could actually buy it by the truckload, and that was a huge savings. Unfortunately, our truck decided to break down this week, and we have to keep moving forward. So we found ourselves back at our local hardware store, farm store, to buy some more soil. All right, looks like we are definitely stocked up with soil. Personally, I will never, ever purchase Miracle-Gro. The one I have been purchasing, it's organic raised bed planting mix. Problem is right here, $8.58. I'll get a couple bags of garden soil as well. Again, I'm only purchasing organic. This is pretty crazy. There are tons of types of Miracle-Gro and very little of soil that is not. Here comes Mr. Jimmy. Time to start thinking about planting season. This bed is actually about halfway full. Now, what we didn't do yet, we haven't added compost, rabbit manure, or coffee grounds. So right now I'm going to dump in just 1 bucket full of used coffee grounds. We drink a lot of coffee in our house, so what I do is save all of those used coffee grounds to add to our soil. Coffee grounds are an excellent way to improve the nutrition of your soil, and honestly, most people are just throwing them away anyways. And although it's in the 80s in this greenhouse, it's only 30 degrees outside, so to be honest, I'm starting sort of an experiment. Each Sunday, I'm going to plant 1 mineral tub of potatoes. Now, potatoes are a cool weather crop, but that doesn't mean they can be outside when it's 20 or 10 degrees. They still need to have enough warmth so they can grow. Each one of these tubs can grow 3 full-size potato plants. I'm going to plant some inside and some outside and start keeping records of when is the best time and where to grow my potatoes. I bought these used mineral tubs for $5 each. I found them on Marketplace, and I've got another 20 or so in my barn. So we're going to start by picking those up. And since I only have a couple red ones, my OCD kicks in, and I'm going to put the red ones out in the garden with the rest of mine and only put the blue ones in my greenhouse. And although that reasoning makes no sense to Jim, it makes perfect sense to me. Outside, I keep red ones. Inside, I keep the blue ones. I cannot wait for it to warm up so I can spend more time out here in the garden. First off, though, will be cleanup. But since it's 30 degrees and windy, the next best place to be is in the greenhouse. If you watched my last video, you know that this is the very first year that we are using an unheated greenhouse. That means we have a lot of experimenting to do. We are looking for the best setup in here, which I think I've got a pretty solid idea of how I'm setting it up. But we also need to figure out when and what we can plant in here. I grabbed some rabbit poop. We're going to add that to our raised beds. Now, as you can see, there's some grass in there. Don't worry, I'm going to sort it before I put it in. We brought over 13 of these tubs. Problem is, they're stuck together. So, first step is to get them pulled apart, then drill holes in the bottom. Then I'm just going to plant 1 with potatoes today. last thing I just added was some rabbit poop on top. I'm going to stir this in and plant 3 or 4 potatoes. Rabbit poop is a cool fertilizer, so you can put it directly onto your plants. It's not going to burn them. For the last couple of years, I have been raising red Lesota potatoes, and I've had a huge amount of success with them. Thank goodness I had kept my own potato seed because they're unavailable at my local farm store this year. And as you can see, they've got some good solid growth on them. Since they're a little bit smaller, I'm going to put 4 in each tub. I'm going to water this pretty deeply. Now, since I have the holes on the bottom, if I get too much water in there, it's going to drain out the bottom. And my floor of the greenhouse is woven weave, so it's just going to soak into the earth. And the final step is to record the date and fill in on your map what you planted and how many and what the date was. If you don't have a journal for your garden, I highly recommend you start one. That way you can predict next year, maybe I planted it too early, or maybe I should have started it earlier. By having a journal, you can just look it up and know when to plant your items. If you're going to start gardening in these mineral tubs, it takes about 3 cubic feet of soil to fill them. I want to show you my seed potatoes. Now, I have a lot of these baskets. I buy them at Dollar Tree. And at the end of the potato season, I just toss a bunch of smaller potatoes into a basket. And I put them down in my basement. These potatoes start to sprout, and I replant them in the spring. And it's kind of fun, but the ones that are smallest seem to actually do the best. I just planted my seed potatoes in the greenhouse, and I'm going to do the same outside. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is the earliest I have ever planted potatoes. My mother-in-law was a firm believer that as soon as you could work the soil, you could plant your potatoes. But I'm just thinking this might be a little too early. But the good news is I have several hundred seed potatoes in here, so I'm not really wasting anything. I have plenty more I can plant. And like the greenhouse, I'm going to plant 4 seed potatoes in my bins. I'm actually putting these a little closer to the center because I do feel it's warmer than around the outside of this bucket. I'm planting them about 4 inches down. I've heard of people who plant some of their potatoes in the fall and they come up in the spring, but I have never had success with that. I'll tell you, I've been a little burned out this year, and that's not normal for me. The winter here has been brutally cold, winds like we've never seen, and sometimes it just seems like the work is never going to get caught up. And sometimes it feels like we haven't made any progress towards our goals. The best thing you can do is every once in a while look back at where you started. Your homestead journey is yours and only yours. Don't compare yourself to how quickly others have found success. Maybe they've been able to quit their jobs and do this full time, but you don't know their story. They might be up to their eyeballs in debt. So do your journey the way you feel comfortable. And if that means you only planted 2 tubs of potatoes, that's 2 steps forward. It's okay to want more, but everything in life takes time. It's not a race. Instead, it's a journey. If you enjoyed this video on how to use mineral tubs to raise your produce, then please like, subscribe, and share. Have a blessed day, everybody. Bye-bye.